Why consider this? Well, I guess we know that you're curious, open-minded, or potentially looking for other options. And what we'd like to do over the next 30 minutes or so is introduce you to a group of people from different backgrounds who've all had varying levels of success with the business concept that we're going to talk to you about today. I guess I should start by giving you a little bit of my background. We were introduced to this business concept over 20 years ago. At the time I was a dentist setting up my own practice. And after a number of years at uni, a few years out working for other dentists, I decided to go out alone. For any self-employed business owners out there, there are obvious benefits and advantages, but there are also some disadvantages. I hate anyone telling me what to do, so it was great to be the boss, but with that comes more responsibility, more hours, and definitely more stress and significant overheads. So when I looked at this, I was extremely sceptical. A friend asked us to come and take a look. And at the time I just set up a practice. I was flat out getting it established and I wasn't looking for anything else. Melissa and I went along. We were pretty blown away with what we saw actually. There was nothing to lose. We weren't asked to give up anything outside of what we were currently doing. The time required was similar to a part-time tech course, and the rewards looked too good to be true. And we just thought, what if it works? It probably won't work, but what if it does? Melissa, I know when you looked at this a number of years ago, you were definitely not looking for anything else. Maybe you could share a little bit about your experience from the early days.
Yeah, I definitely wasn't looking for anything when we saw this business. And I was one of those people that had worked for a boss. My parents were working the 40-year plan. I was broke and life wasn't going to get much better. I just thought that's what you did. You went to work, you paid the bills, and you continued to do that. And when I looked at this, I didn't particularly have a lot of confidence in myself. I really hadn't thought about anything. I didn't realise there was other options out there to get ahead in life. And I was just sort of plodding along and letting life take me along. And when we looked at this, thankfully we just thought, what if it works? And we just decided we'd give it a go. And within 4 months, I had replaced my income in the travel industry. And I was able to have the choice of giving up work and have worked from home on a part-time basis ever since.
That's great. Janie, you've only gone into the workforce this year as an occupational therapist. You spent many years at uni. Definitely you're going to be in a position with what you've set up as a couple that you're going to have some wonderful choices. So Janie, why don't you just sort of share with us how your involvement has given you some of those options?
When I first saw the business, I was just about to start studying and I was quite excited about that, and I still am excited about what I do, but I suppose this particular kind of business model was never in my plan, and it wasn't something that I got particularly excited about when I first saw it. As I had some more exposure and I was around some of the people and I gained a bit more of an understanding, I really began to see the kind of options that it would be able to create for myself and for Ben and our future life together and our family ultimately, because these days all of our peers are at the point where we are looking at starting families and starting out with our homes and our children to be, and I guess it's really hard for most because they don't have that extra option, and people are looking nowadays because it is just so hard to get into the property market, to start a family when we've both got incomes now, and this business is something that, thank goodness, has fallen into our lives, that we're able to grasp and give ourselves those big options that we want to create the kind of life that we want for ourselves.
Matt, you've had a very successful career as a professional sports person for most of your adult life, and very recently you announced your retirement. And I noticed in the press conference, unlike a lot of other sports people, that you were very at peace with your decision. There were no tears or emotion, and it would be very nervous for someone who derives their whole income from sport to then not be able to continue to do that and hopefully have something else set up where they could continue to provide for their family. But obviously through this business concept, you've set yourself up after just a short period of time of involvement to be able to do that. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
When I first saw this concept, I was really blown away by what was available, because I just didn't understand that it I was just brought up like you have to go to work, make money, then you know go back and make it again and pay the bills and so on and so forth. And you know, I always thought when I finished playing football, I'd just have to go and get a job. You know, grateful that you know I was exposed to the concept, you know, a few years ago and was able to set things up where you know I can retire and basically have choice, have options, and created options for myself to you know retire and be looking forward to the future in terms of you know where I'm going to be spending my time. You know, I'm not going to be stuck in an office. I'm not going to be doing things that I have to do. I'm going to be doing things that I want to do. That's you know hanging out with my kids on the beach, or you know going fishing on a Wednesday because it's a nice day, not because it's a Saturday and it's raining. I'm just looking forward to having control. Loved my career. It's been fantastic. But I've got to say the reason why there wasn't the tears in the press conference is because you know I'm just so looking forward to the future. And I just know exactly where I'm going, and I'm in total control of it, which is exciting.
To be able to find passions in your life and be able to do things and have the time and have the family time and have the business that gives you the balance, that gives you, for me, what is the full package, a life of purpose, a life of meaning, a life of options. But over and above that, to have a life of whatever it is that you want. I don't observe it happening outside of this business.
Meet people that are going through difficult times, or if you're going through a difficult time, what I love is Network 21 teaches you to rise up. And not only teaches you to rise up, but to actually, you know, we hear the saying, teach someone how to fish rather than give them fish. So we'd rather empower you, because this is what Network 21 has done for me. It's empowered me to be able to change my past.
Cashflow Conversations. If you haven't met yet, I'm Daniel. I'm father of 6 children together with my wife Geraldine. My background's in media and communications, always worked in the creative industries, and we live here in Perth, Western Australia. So well done for being here. So let's get this show underway, shall we? Let me just jump straight to the executive summary, because you know you really want to know the bottom line. And the bottom line is, you know, through this we have a proven and predictable pathway that in a 3-month time frame we can generate that result of at least a $2,000 income stream, and in 10 months we can create that result of a $7,000 income stream. How do we know? Well, it's been done for by hundreds and thousands of other people over the last 40 years all around the world. So that's why we know it's proven and predictable. Now, in order to see how it is proven and predictable, how do we know that we know? Well, what if it were possible to build that bridge with all the things that I'm going to outline today, this evening? No capital required. We leverage, so therefore we can be flexible with our time. So, you know, those of us who are time poor, that's the answer. There's ongoing support for entrepreneurship. I mean, I was in a space where I did not understand entrepreneurial thinking. You know, so I had to embark on a journey to be equipped. And the good news is, it's all learnable. I can learn to be an entrepreneur. I can learn to get the entrepreneur's results. And what if we were on trend, that we have exactly what people are looking for? That's it. You know, that would be a great solution, wouldn't it? But this is what really fired up my imagination. A system to scale up without increasing our overheads. What does that mean? It means time freedom. So if we had all these things in place, where would you go? Where would you go with it? Just imagine. And I think this will be the time to really get back with the person that brought you along, and just to imagine what is the possibility of, if these were all true, and it would be true for you, and you can implement it for yourself as well. Wow, what could that do for you? Where would you go with that? You know, and I think that's a very important exercise to do as well. You know, we spent some time going through some materials that Keith Abraham has developed for us, and if you get the whole of a starting point workbook, you can actually find some of the questions there that Keith Abraham gives us to help us to really articulate the things that we really want to be able to create if all things were possible, if we knew it could not fail. Sounds really good, doesn't it? Hey, right? Aren't you glad you came along to this 8-week journey? So this is part 1, and this is one part of 8, so don't worry. First of all, let's explore this. We have what everybody's looking for in our hands. Everybody's doing these things. Everybody. Come what may. Good times, bad times, these are things that are essential, that non-negotiable. All of us have to do these things. In order to do these things, we have to buy these from somewhere, and that's cash flow involved, right? So money is flowing through the economy, to the marketplace, and someone's picking up the money in the first place. How can they benefit? First of all, the easiest way, and this is the most common thing that most people do, is they can become a customer. And the benefits are great because number one is they're all protected by a 100% satisfaction guarantee, which means a full refund and free returns if they're not 100% happy with what they bought. That's the best news ever, right? And 10% off the orders in the first 30 days. So you can tell people, I'll give you a mate's rate within the first 30 days, and free delivery for orders over $100. Now, of course, some want to do a little bit more benefits, and they can become a smart shopper. So these are just terms which I'm just going to throw out there because you can use this as talking points. Smart shoppers get the same 100% satisfaction guarantee protection, and they now they don't pay full retail price. The retail price there's a 20% markup, so they don't pay that 20% markup. That's great. That's a real member benefit. And there's a 3 to 21% cashback monthly, which I'll unpack in a short while. In the first 90 days, they can get up to $500 worth of free products. How good is that? And there's more discounts ongoing with auto ship and monthly discount coupons. That's something that's worth discovering, isn't it? Now, of course, there's a third category of people who might say, okay, I want more than that. Show me more. Here's a term that's coined by some of our great friends from Indonesia and Malaysia. I picked up this term. They call the shoppreneur. So shoppreneurs are really smart shoppers who do something more. They actually start to pull together a community to share this with others, so that there'll be others who are also taking advantage of the customer benefits or the smart shopper benefits. And shoppreneurs then can take advantage of, can benefit from retail profit every Thursday, paid to them every Thursday, because everything's online. When anybody buys anything online, they get the retail profit every Thursday. They can unlock more than 10 streams of income. And there's a lot more to unpack from all our get-togethers. You will learn more about the 10 streams of income. There's unlimited monthly and annual profit share, and all expenses paid trip overseas. It's just that those are the 3 ways that people can benefit, and that's what you have in your hands that you can offer to anybody whom you extend this to. Let me explain. If let's say you were able to help 15 households to take advantage of the smart shopper benefit, actually because of that, your impact extends to about 50 households of smart shoppers, because people talk to people, right? And that means your income is about $2,000 a month. I mentioned to you that's a 3-month time frame. That actually means that if you're thinking in terms of a 4% per annum yield, you have an asset that's worth $600,000. That's in a 3-month time frame, right? So let's say every smart shopper knows how to get the 3% cash back, $15 back. That means every smart shopper would an average spend $500 every month, right? Okay. Now, if let's say you were to help more than 15 households to take advantage of this, right? You expand this to 20 to 30 households that you have influence with your impact actually expands to about 150 households. And that means that you're getting about $7,000 per month. Now, in terms of the asset value, that's $2.1 million asset which you've put together in a 10-month time frame. Now, you can go further, because once you know how to put together a $2.1 million asset, what if you can help 3 others to also create that result for themselves? So now your influence is working with 3 shoppreneurs who each have an impact on 150 households, each of them. Your income is about $100,000 per year, and your asset is worth more than $2.5 million. And if you carry on, let's say you help 3 more shoppreneurs, and they all have their $7,000 per month income. They've all got the $2 million asset now. So 6 shopreneurs who have $2 million asset, you have $250,000 per year income, and your asset is worth more than $6.25 million. That's the potential of leveraging on the system to scale up your assets. I'm just so glad we had this time together, really. I mean, like I said, this is just one of 8. Really, I hope you tune in again to get other insights from all our friends who pull together their collective knowledge and wisdom here. And I'm so looking forward to stories from you of what you gain from just walking the path with us and being part of this conversation. I'm Daniel here from Perth, Western Australia. So glad we had this time together. Get back with the person who brought you along. Find out what this means to them for the chance of what this means to you. Good night, everyone.